Roundtable. I'm Mike Logan. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are joined by Friar head coach Nate Leaman and four members of the coming season's team. That would be grad student Nick Poisson, returning for year 5, senior Guillaume Richard, sophomore Hudson Malinoski, and incoming freshman Logan Sawyer. We thank all of the season ticket holders who are joining us here tonight, and thank them for the continued support of the program. Nate, let's start with you. You're coming into year 14, believe it or not, at Providence College. Coming into this year, how do you feel about the state of the program?
Well, I mean, I think we've had 12 winning seasons in a row, so I feel pretty good about where our, overall where the program is, and what our expectations of our program and how we're looked at across the country. But I'm really excited about this group. I mean, this group, I think, kind of has depth it just about everywhere. We have a very challenging schedule this year, but I'm excited. I mean, I can't wait to get going with them, even though we have about probably 2 weeks before I'll officially like be with them. But there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not playing with the lineup or thinking about things or how we're going to develop this guy or that guy. Or it's just for us, it's our staff, we can't wait to work with this team, because this is a team that legit has a crack at it.
Yeah, I would agree, and we're going to spend more time talking about the roster in a little bit. You brought up the 12 straight winning years. Just a couple of notes on that. First time that's ever happened at Providence, and all the talk about the league. No other hockey school in that time period has gone 12 straight seasons with a winning record. So keep that in mind. You mentioned the schedule, Nate. Last year, you guys opened up at Michigan. You had Denver at home. After an exhibition at Union the first weekend of October, you guys don't exactly ease into it. You play at North Dakota in the Hall of Fame game, home for 2 the following weekend against Arizona State. In all, 5 teams out of the NCHC. How important is that type of schedule to get you ready for league play?
Well, I think it's big, but it's also big for us in the national tournament. So, at the end of the year, every game matters for that. We've learned that lesson the past couple of years, but I think our preseason is going to be extremely important this year for us to be tuned up and ready, because we are playing, our first 3 games are all big non-conference games. Again, I like our team, but we're going to have to be ready, for these challenges early in the season. But that's what we do. We normally get off to get good starts. We normally have, I think what we've been doing in our preseasons, has always been the correct thing. So I feel good about that. But I was looking at our schedule, earlier in the summer, and I think of our 35 regular season games this year, I think 22 are going to be against ranked teams. So it's going to be great for us, because it's going to push us every night. We might end up at the end of the year with a top 5 strength of schedule. So it puts us in a really good spot.
And you've got a couple of tournaments. I know you like being part of them. The Thanksgiving one up at Lake Placid, where you'll have both Clarkson and St. Lawrence. And then in the Dartmouth tournament, I believe it will be the 4th time you guys have played up there since you've been here. And you guys have played really well up there.
It's a great tournament. I mean, it's one of my favorites. It really is. I mean, there's some hidden gems in college hockey. And I think the Dartmouth tournament's one of them. I think that Adirondack tournament over Thanksgiving is going to be really cool, because I'm not sure if any of our guys have been up to Lake Placid and played up there, but it's a great little town. Everyone rallies around events like this, and it's going to be big time hockey. And so, I think that's going to be a great event. I mean, I don't know if we could have a much better schedule. It's all lining up. You talk about the hidden gems, like that Dartmouth tournament. It's cool. It is really cool to be up there at that time of year. Just thinking outside the box, I did hear something kind of yesterday that I was a little upset yesterday to see Brian Riley. It's going to be his last year in Army, because that is another, for me, that's another hidden gem. That's another one of those, when you go down and you play Army in that building and they always have a great crowd, it pushes your team to the brink. And it's something I'm going to miss, Brian. Hopefully we can continue to schedule Army down there down the road.
And that's going to be the end of a remarkable stretch, 75 years of having a Riley as a head coach at Army, dating back to Jack in the early 50s. I want to move it around, start talking to some of the guys. Nick Poisson, I want to start with you. Give us a little background on your decision to return for year 5 for the grad year at Providence.
Yeah, I think it was an easy decision. This place is like a second home to me, and just being here for 4 years, kind of, growing through the community and growing through the coaching staff and just growing as a person. It was a pretty easy decision once I kind of figured out pro wasn't going to be as great as an option. I think just kind of talking with Nate, talking to the other coaches, just realizing what we have this year, and just having a really good mindset towards a 5th year and towards coming back here, being a leader and being part of a really good hockey team.
Nick, the COVID year was very tough, but one of the bonuses going through that was to get the additional year, which you're going to be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think obviously it was a tough year, kind of not playing in front of anyone, and it was a weird kind of first year, but luckily I was given, a 5th year, and it was a good year to kind of like ease into it, I guess, where you weren't playing in front of crazy crowds. You were kind of focusing a lot on hockey and focusing a lot on just kind of getting comfortable within a school and doing classes again and doing stuff like that. So I think as hard of a year as it was kind of for everyone, I think it was a pretty good first year for me.
Well, we look forward to having you back. 93 points coming into your 5th year. Guillaume Richard, you're coming back for your senior year, and quite frankly, that's become a rarity in the college game. A lot of guys, especially draft picks, 2, maybe 3 years. What was behind your decision to return for your senior year?
I mean, a little bit like Nick said, I felt at home at Providence, loved it here my first 3 years, and then obviously had some talks about maybe joining the pro level. But at the end of the day, I talked with Nate and the people around me, and it was a better decision for me to come back to Providence. And I'm really excited for this year. It's gonna be great. I've been up in the summer for 2 weeks now, and we have a great team coming up, and it's exciting for the season.
I felt last year was your best overall year. You ended up, all 3 of your goals were game winners, but I just thought in both ends of the ice, it was your best year. How do you look at your junior year?
Yeah, I think it was a really good year. We had a great group. We had a lot of fun on the ice. It was, but now it's another season. You can't look back at the junior year. It's the senior year coming up, and need to work hard. It's not going to be easy. Like Nate said, we have a tough schedule, but it's going to be fun for sure, and looking forward to it.
Well, we're looking forward to having you back for another year. Hudson Malinoski, Hudson, 9 goals, 9 assists as a freshman. How would you rate your first campaign in a Friar uniform?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with my year. Obviously, coming into school, you don't really know what to expect. Played junior for 1 year in Brooks, and you kind of come into a new league, and you're playing against, some 25-year-olds that are, men, and you just kind of got to adjust to that. But I thought throughout the year I kind of did that, so I was pretty happy with my first year.
How challenging was the transition? Yeah, coming into college, now you're balancing the academics along with, being an athlete, and, it's a little more on your plate.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging, but we got a great group, great leaders, and our coaching staff and even our academic people. We have just everyone around us is good and help you get through. So that helped me a lot.
All right, and lastly, Logan Sawyer, incoming freshman. Logan, you're coming off an excellent year in the BCHL. Let's start with the decision with Providence. Why Providence during the recruiting process?
Yeah, I had a really good visit with down in Providence. I had a lot of fun down there, getting toured around by all the coaches and everything, and kind of just felt like home when I was down there. So try to just commit as soon as I could.
Logan, what was it like this summer? You go to the draft, you get picked in the 3rd round by Montreal. Being a Canadian, What was the whole event like?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. The Sphere was pretty awesome. And yeah, just getting drafted was pretty surreal. Going to such a good organization was a bonus to that.
Did you have any idea that Montreal might be the place where you would end up?
Yeah, I mean, I did a couple interviews with them when I was down there. I did another one right before the draft. You never know where you're going to get drafted, obviously, but I had a good feeling with them, and I was lucky enough to get selected by them.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you in a Friar uniform here coming up in about 6 weeks. Nate, I want to go back to you and talk a little bit about the construction of this year's roster. 8 grad students, 5 of them coming in new to the program. You add 9 freshmen, and that's 14 people new to the program. How big of a challenge is that going to be for you and your staff to get everybody acclimated?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I mean, I can see, I opened the question and answer portion of this webinar, and I can see, like 2 or 3 of the questions are about the roster. So that's a good question. Hopefully I can answer the questions that other people are asking. But the strengths of the freshmen this year, we needed to continue to add to our scoring ability. And I think if you look at our analytics over the past 2 seasons, we've dominated puck possession. We've dominated. We gave up, as you mentioned, this is my 14th season. We gave up the fewest shots in the league last year, in the fewest shots per game in my time here. So we were doing a lot of things well, but we need a little more. We need to, pop a little bit more offensively. And I think we had the guys last year that can do it, but I think we were putting too much pressure on ourselves. And I think when things wouldn't go our way early in a game, meaning that we'd be getting chances and they wouldn't be going in, it just kind of compounded. And I think, with our freshman class, I think we've added depth at all positions. But I also think that we've added, a little bit more offensive pop. And Trevor Connolly, John Mustard, Logan, the best parts of their games are all, their stick skill and their ability to score. So we're hoping those guys can come in and help. I still think, up and down the lineup with like Nick and Chase, and the grad transfers we have, I think there's a lot of guys that can score. So I feel really good about that aspect of it. So our freshman class, I'm happy. I think Alex Bales will come up and he's going to add mobility. Samo's going to add a lot of strength and heaviness on the blue line. 2 aspects that we could use. Braden Clark is an excellent player all around, 200 foot. I think he had a really good season at the faceoff dot last year also. So between Chase and Logan, Will, and Braden, we feel like we have a potential to be one of the best faceoff teams in the country also next year. Logan Will, I think, was one of the top, if not the top, faceoff players in the NCHC. So, and Chase had a great year last year. So, Huddy came along a lot in the second half. I think his second half numbers were very good at the faceoff dot. So we had a meeting today as a staff, and we worked 45 minutes on faceoffs, just kind of gearing up, because we feel like we can have 4 of the best guys in the country, and that can be an area that, we want to start every shift with the puck, and we feel like we can be very good at it. So, I just want to add, because I want to answer the questions here. The other grad transfers, I think Carl Fish is going to be a very good player for us, defensive defenseman. But he also, like when he was in for summer school, he can rip a puck. Ryan O'Reilly is kind of an all-around player, but he's big. He brings the size, like, losing Yar, losing Riley. We lost a little bit of size there on the wing. And I think Ryan brings that. He's a big, heavy kid. He's probably, pound for pound, he might be our biggest kid in the weight room, but he can rip a puck also. So he's going to bring a little bit of that. So we got a lot of pieces. I think the other piece that was desperately needed in our program is Zach Borgil. We needed depth in the net. We've put a lot on Philip's shoulders for 2 years. I think he's done a good job. But we need the ability to to rotate goalies. We need the ability, to not put everything on Phillip. And we're getting a proven Hockey East goaltender. And that the past 3 years, like, no disrespect to our backups, it hasn't been there. And now we feel like that's there, and that's going to be a really big. I think it's going to be a really, really big part of the success of our season.
A couple of things that jump out to me, Nate, with the grad students that you brought in. You're bringing them in from really good programs. Will comes in from Colorado College. Fish comes in from Minnesota. You bring O'Reilly in from ASU. So you're dealing with kids that have played in tough environments already. And the other thing with this freshman class, your second year, that first class you brought in, your first class, that was the foundation of the first three tournament teams, obviously the championship team. 2016, those 5 guys really were the Frozen Four in 19. And again, not looking to put pressure, but looking at this group on paper, this looks like a very much a foundation moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that we're not speaking of a little bit is just I think that what excites me a lot about this group is the leadership. I mean, Chase and Nick and Guillaume that are, I think we have a leadership group that can help bring along some of these young players. Like Trevor Connolly's a really dynamic player, but there's going to be lessons for our young players that our older players can only help with because it's away from the rink. The other thing I'll tell you, going back to your transfer, your comment about taking transfers from certain programs, we've probably been in the transfer game longer than other schools, and there's just the worst thing you can do is bring a transfer student that doesn't make your lineup, or it's just too much for them, our league, and we've done that a couple times, so we're a little bit more careful, but. Logan and Ryan and Carl Fish, and then you have, Chase and Guillaume and Nick and Connor Kelly. And we have some older players that when it's time to trust our game, when we get into big games and it's 2-2 in the third period, because that's Hockey East, like there's a lot of games, you're 2-1, 3-2. When we get to those moments, I think we have the right mix of some younger guys, but more importantly, we have the right mix of a lot of mature guys and mature players that have been in these situations that are just can trust our game, can trust our identity, and are going to stick with it. And when you mentioned those first NCAA teams and in the national championship team, and we were down in the third period of that national championship game, and the guys had to stay with it, and they did. So you have to have a lot of that to be successful in college hockey. And I do think we have a good amount of that this year.
Nick, I'll go back to you. As you look at the makeup of this group, obviously, a good amount of the guys in the room, but there's a lot of new guys coming in. What excites you about the group?
Yeah, I think, we're a much bigger team than we kind of have been in the past. I think there's going to be a lot of kids that a lot of teams aren't going to want to play against, and kind of whatever way you want to make up the lineup. I think there's a lot of depth, and there's a lot of, every kid can play hockey on this team, and I think a lot of guys are going to, contribute in a lot of different ways. So it's not going to be like kind of, a 1 or 2 line team. I think we got a ton of forwards who can play. I think we got a ton of D who can play. And like Coach said, we've, 2 goalies who can play this year. So that's something that I think we haven't really had in the past. I think it's something that is going to kind of take us to another level this year. We're rolling, 4 lines, rolling 6 or 7 D. And I just think it's going to be, a group that's going to be hard to play against. And we're going to be able to finish some goals this year. Like we've always, had those chances, but I think we're going to put more an emphasis on kind of scoring those goals this year.
Nick, having gone through the grind now, 4 years of Hockey East, what advice can you pass along to some of the younger guys coming in and doing this for the first time?
Yeah, I know. Obviously playing 4 years here and playing in a lot of those games, it's hard, but it's like Coach said, you just stick with it. There's a lot of times where we've been down in games and we just play to our systems, play to our coach, play for each other, and we just, fight our way back into games. And that's something that, you're never out of a game in hockey. So anything can happen. And that's honestly a great thing about the league is every team's competitive and every night is a different game. So that's a big piece of advice, is just taking it one game at a time, one shift at a time, and really just going out there and, playing for each other and playing every game is a different opportunity.
And Guillaume, you're one of the leaders again this year. How do you embrace that coming into your senior year?
I mean, like Nate said, it's going to be good for the younger guys. We've been through it. Obviously, those past 3 years haven't been they've been hard. Just missing a little bit, almost getting there, but not getting there. So obviously excited for this year. But we've learned a lot. This leadership group, we've learned a lot through those hard times, and I think we're going to be there for the younger guys. And it's exciting that we've always been good defensively, but this year we have that pop offensively to score goals. So very excited for that. And yeah, so we've learned a lot for sure.
Guillaume, how important is it since Nate's come in? The younger guys come in over the summer and they get acclimated to the school and to one another. How important has that been? You did it, and now you've watched younger guys under you do it as well.
Yeah, I think summer school is the best part. Getting to know the new guys, especially this year. We have a lot of new faces, and sometimes it's not easy to get to know all the guys. So you need this alone time, especially when the students are not here yet, and it's just your team hanging out together, doing everything together. So the summer was great. It's really needed, especially this year. And when I look back at my freshman year, we had a great time, and you really bond with the team during that those summer skates and training.
Hudson, I'll ask you, how much did that help last year coming in as a freshman?
Yeah, for a freshman, it's obviously mandatory to come for the summer, and I thought it was great. You kind of bond with your class. Our class, the sophomore class this year, I feel like we're super tight. We're all like brothers, and getting that extra month in the summer, getting a couple classes done, meeting the older guys, kind of just getting used to the school. It helps a lot. Just going into the year, you don't have so much just jumping right on you at the start of the year. You kind of ease into it a little better.
So having a year under your belt, what can you pass along to say a guy like Logan coming in, for year one?
Yeah, obviously I played on the same team last year where I played junior, and he's going to have to make an adjustment playing older guys, but I know he's obviously a skilled player, and I think he'll be good, but you just got to kind of keep your head down and work every day, and it'll just fall into place.
Logan, I mentioned a lot of new faces. You're one of them coming in. What have you guys been doing off the ice to get acquainted with each other when you were in over the summer?
Yeah, we're just hanging out every night, playing cards, just hanging out as a team, getting to know everyone. And I think we got pretty close over the summer, and it was really nice. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
What's one of the for you just coming in year one here is obviously you come in, you're an NHL draft choice, so there's a little added pressure over and above just being a freshman. What are some of the goals you have coming in for year one?
Yeah, I just want to learn as much as I can from the older guys, like you were talking about earlier. They just know so much, so I'm just trying to soak everything in with learning from all the older guys and all the coaches and everything. And yeah, I just want to contribute to the team and try to help us win some games.
All right, Nate, I want to come back to you looking at a couple of other questions that people have asked, and you and I have talked about this. The NLI has obviously changed college sports across the board. How challenging has that been putting it together? I know Providence has done a nice job putting a collective together. They were one of the front runners in the Northeast, but from a coaching standpoint, how challenging is that? It's something else on top of everything else to deal with.
I mean, it's just the new NCAA. It's just the new NCAA. I mean, to be honest with you, I have no problem with it and with our players, as long as, like you as the coach are trying to make sure that you have a group that works as a group, and that the real challenge with the NIL stuff is making sure guys continue to think about the group and not think about themselves individually, So that's, just kind of, seeing what basketball has gone through and in other sports, or if football has gone through, it can get crazy. But you watch what happens when it gets crazy and those teams blow up. Like Miami University basketball last year, like or University of Miami basketball, they blew up. They had the highest payroll of any of any team, like, so I think in the sport of hockey, it still comes down to guys working as a group. And as long as you don't let it interfere with your team working as a team and guys thinking of themselves as individuals, you can have success. But I have seen it blow up some places and some teams also, and and kind of go from there. The guys were all talking about the summer, and I know that was one of the questions. They all mentioned about them being together. We had the most guys back for summer this year, I think, than we've ever had. And Guy talked about it a little bit. I think there's a real sense of purpose for this group. I think there was a real sense of disappointment at the end last year, and I think there's a real sense of purpose with our guys that have been through it. And that's every guy that's on the roster that returns this year. So, when you talked about summer school, the guys talked about being together, playing cards and everything. That's, you could talk about that, but the bonding that I saw was in the weight room, because I saw a group come in and honestly, like, just completely work their tails off. I'm proud of the gains they made. We had some guys that stayed all summer. And we had some guys that stayed all summer to support those guys that were there. But we had every player except two make it back this summer to be with the group, to learn the group, and that's what special teams do. And that's one of the other reasons I guess I'm really excited about this group.
Well, and as a coach, that's what you want. You want your guys to take ownership of it, right? Ultimately, it's their team, and if they can take some ownership, it's only going to help.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
One other thing, Nate, a couple of other questions, and we talk about the changing landscape of college sports. NLI here, I am guessing Providence will be into the settlement that will mean increase to 26, in that there won't be a scholarship cap, if you will. That's, I would think, an advantage. Yet you got to make sure that it's funded right. It's just another challenge.
Yeah, I don't see that going forward completely there. I think they're working through a lot of things right now. There's like three or four lawsuits now against that lawsuit. So, I don't see how the NCAA can limit a roster size. I don't understand how the NCAA could limit someone that wants to pay their own way to Providence College and play on the men's ice hockey team. You can't with one voice say we're preventing, or we want opportunity for everyone, and then on the other side say, no, we're not giving opportunity. So I think some of that stuff is going to be adjusted. I don't see, it's just, when you talk about adding 8 scholarships to a sport, that's, Providence is $80,000. That's it's a lot of money. I don't see schools flipping a switch and doing that. I see, the possibility of things getting slowly put in over a 10-year period or something like that. But this stuff is changing all the time. So I when I put my head on the pillow at night, I really focus on what are the rules today, what are the rules now, and because if you can really get caught up trying to get into the stuff and then get burned because something changes the next day. That's a good one. How's everyone's health entering the season? That's a good question. As far as I know, we're completely healthy. Alex Bales and Braden Clark both had shoulder surgery that ended their seasons last year. I talked to both boys this morning. They both got cleared. So, yeah, as far as I know, the Friars are 100% healthy going into, the first day of school.
And you've also, Nate, got some pretty good depth both up front and also on the blue line. Injuries are a part of the game, but you've got some pretty good depth at both sides.
Yeah, like Nick alluded to it. We got the chance to be extremely heavy. And then we have the lineup that can be extremely good skating. So I'm sure some of those things will factor into those decisions as we move down the road.
Nick, as we head into the year and obviously the Hockey East schedule and that, where do you look at this club as far as the ability of where they can finish? I don't pay a lot of attention to the preseason polls or any of that, but I'm sure a lot of people are going to look at the league and look at BC and BU. But personally, I think you're part of a group that's got an excellent chance to be top four. How do you look at it?
Yeah, I think that's obviously a goal of ours every year is to, win Hockey East in the regular season and just honestly win as many games as we can. I think the tournament is a real opportunity for us this year. And I think it starts with, the first weekend starts with preseason, getting prepared for a tough start for us. Like Nate said, we have a harder schedule this year. And so that's something that means a lot is all those games mean everything. And I think last year, even some of our like lesser competition games, like we took nights off and we lost, and that kind of burned us in the end. Like those games mean as much as your most important games. So you get a big win and you get a bad loss, like those kind of offset each other. So I think just being prepared for every game every night is a big opportunity, and taking it night by night. I think you can have games where you put up 50 shots and you don't score. It just happens. It's hockey. But I think top four is a real opportunity for us in Hockey East this year, and just playing every night, playing every game, not focusing on top four. That'll happen if we take it one game at a time and one shift at a time.
Nick, you guys went out to Michigan last year, opened with a split out there. So taking that experience into this year, you open up in another marquee place in North Dakota. What advice can you take out of that weekend to some of the guys that weren't out there last year?
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting. It's just going to be another opportunity to just enjoy the moment. That's a great atmosphere, and it's a great place to start your first game. But it's the same for us as it is for them. It's their first game of the year. Like it's the first game that matters. So I think we're going to get ready in preseason, and we're going to go in there and just, the first couple of minutes, there might be some nerves getting back into hockey and, back into a great atmosphere. But I think at the end of the day, you're just playing hockey. You're grateful for that opportunity to play in, a huge rink and a huge atmosphere. And so you're kind of you have to enjoy it. But at the same time, I think we're going to be ready for that moment.
Helps too to get that exhibition as well, right? Against you can get a game under your belt.
Yeah, I think last year we kind of, didn't have an exhibition game. We're kind of just thrown into it. So I think the first kind of 10 minutes, first period was a little shaky for us, just getting back into hockey. But, having an exhibition game is always good. You get kind of the jitters out of the way, and you kind of figure out how people play and who they are, when everyone's hidden again, when everyone's, taking penalties, stuff like that. So I think it'll be a good opportunity for us to kind of get back into hockey and then obviously play a big game.
Guillaume, as you look at the defense coming in this year, what do you look at as the strengths? A lot of returners, and then Carl Fish comes over from Minnesota. He's a veteran as well. How do you look at the group as a whole?
I think we're going to be big, but with that being said, we're also going to be very mobile. When you look at Connor can skate. Tage can skate. Like he's so big, but he can skate. Carl Fish we all can skate. We can move well, and then it's just going to be to move pucks to our forwards. We have great forwards this year. Move pucks to them and let them go to work in the O-zone, and then from there we're going to create some chance and just keeping the offense alive. And I think that's the biggest part of it.
Also, I would think practicing against some of your forwards is going to help as well. You've got some talented kids. The guys from last year, Hudson and Adams, along with Gamache, plus some of the freshmen coming in, let alone Nick and Chase Yoder. You've got some talent.
Yeah, that's the thing with playing at Providence. You always get better in practices. Our practices are hard, and it's good to face those forwards, the forwards that we have during practice, because then you go in the game and it's much easier to play against those good forwards that you see in games too. And so yeah, I think Nate's practices are great, and they're going to get us ready for our first exhibition game, and then from there we'll be ready for the first game of the season.
Hudson, coming into sophomore year, what are a couple of things you look at your game you'd like to improve upon?
Yeah, I kind of like Nate said, my face-offs in the back half of the year kind of started trending up, and kind of want to start that right from the start of the year and just kind of start really good on face-offs and not have to worry about that. But yeah, just also round my game out, my defensive game, and obviously we added a lot of skill with transfers and freshmen, a lot of high end sticks and scoring ability. So just be able to help produce a little offense as well.
With the face-offs, I know a lot of times they look at the centerman. There's a lot that goes into it. Your wings are important in winning those, but it's more than just hand-eye coordination, correct?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a lot more things that play into a face-off than just hand-eye coordination.
All right, and Logan, as you look at the year coming in, as you come in here, what can you describe your game? What are we looking at? What type of player are you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a skilled offensive forward. I'm going to create a lot of chances. And then, yeah, like Hudson was saying, I'm just going to work on my defensive side of the puck. Definitely something that I need to work on, but I'll be creating a lot of chances in the offensive zone for sure.
I mentioned, you had a breakout year last year, 35 goals, 78 points. How much of it was confidence, what you got going? Once you got going, kind of taking you through, looking at the year, it looked like as the year went on, you were better. You got better month to month.
Yeah, I mean, being in Brooks is such a good organization. I was always working on my game. So yeah, every month, every week, every day, I was just getting better. Trying to get on the ice, watch as much video as I can. And yeah, obviously confidence is a thing. You get comfortable kind of in your situations that you're playing in. And for me, I just try to stay positive and happy. And I think that's when I'm kind of playing my best.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing you play. Nate, we talked about the non-conference, the league is a battle. This year, you're playing the same four teams 3 times: BC, BU, Northeastern, and Lowell. And the way that the schedule is spread out, it appears pretty good balance. As far as it goes. I know there's a couple of midweek games and a couple of breaks in there, but overall, when you get to the league, it looks like it's spread out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, our league's, it's definitely going to be a grind this year. But, I can tell you with this group, the goal is not top 4. The goal is to win the league. And I really feel like we can do it. It's the balance of the schedules with the extra game. I think ours might be a little bit harder than everyone else. But, at the end of the day, if we want to be where we want to be, we have to beat BU and BC. So the fact that we get them the extra games I think is a blessing for us, and for the team this year. So, cause that's just another head-to-head, just another head-to-head game. So that's really good. But yeah, I mean, talking about Logan, I think, Logan's best asset's going to be Huddy, both coming from the same program, both coming, I know those two are going to have some good conversations about, the transition and things like that. So that's, just seeing the two guys together on this call, I think, Huddy's going to be in the role of big brother a little bit this year with, kind of, going through what he went through last year. And, cause I think Huddy's another guy that's poised to have a monster year this year.
Well, he certainly got better as the year went on. Last year, some big goals. The goal up in Maine got you guys back in it. Obviously, he scored the last goal of the year against UMass. Another thing, Nate, looking at the roster, it leads to some good competition day in and day out in practice. And certainly, your lineup probably is going to change week to week based on how practice goes, correct?
It will. It will. I think making sure we keep guys involved, some of the guys, because I think the depth, I think if anything, like I'm, going through my time and learning from my boys, like, and I mean, my kids, my own kids and confidence and watching things, I think this may be a year where, guys on the fourth line might flip-flop, on nights, just to keep guys involved, just to keep guys' confidence where it needs to be. I think practices are going to be great. I think there's, we did do a lot of talking last year, about being, about having certain days that are just skill based, within our program. And I think that is something that's a focus that our staff, when we were meeting today, we were even speaking about how we're going to implement in our preseason. When you get to preseason, your time's so limited that you try to get everything set, but we talked as a staff a little bit today of making sure we continue with what we want to do throughout the season, of having at least one day that's just completely skill based for our players, so that we're continuing to build their scoring habits and their looks at the net, and and to help bring along all of our scoring.
And I mentioned the competition with Zach Borgil. You've got that in net as well, and a chance to, maybe give Philip some time so that you split some weekends, and it's only going to make both of them fresher as the year goes on.
Well, that, and, to be quite honest with you, Mike, to help your players in goal scoring.
Yeah.
When you have two goalies that are competing against each other in practice, and it's a competition, their level, drastically, increases during the practice, because they're competing. They're no longer, it's not a clear set, system. It's the two guys are competing against one another. And if they're competing against one another, they tend to, every shot means a lot more to them. And how does that work? Well, that pushes all your players, so that they're seeing, goaltending that's probably, at game level every practice also. And I think that's going to help our goal scoring and our guys with their looks at the net and things like that. I think it's going to challenge our guys to make our goalies move more, in order to score. So I think all those things, you factor in all those little things, and, I think I think it puts us in a good place.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, we're getting close to the end of this. I want to move around and kind of get a final word from the four guys. Nick, I'll start with you. As a couple of weeks away from getting into school and getting practice underway, what are you looking forward to most heading into this year?
Yeah, I'm fired up for the year. I think it's, a great opportunity for my last year of college hockey with a great group of guys, and just a lot of guys who are kind of, among the same mindset here. We have eight grad students, and for a lot of us, we're playing for contracts. We're playing for our last chance at college hockey, our last chance at NCAA championship. So there's a lot more to this team than, I've felt in the past, and a lot of guys who are, going to go to the rink and they're just focused on one thing, and that's just getting better and winning hockey, So I think I'm really, really excited to get this whole group together and have preseason together and really bond over that. And then just to start the year, like, I'm just so, antsy and ready to play some real hockey at this point, being on the ice with all the guys during the summer, and just, wanting to just kind of throw the body around at this point. So I think it'll be fun to kind of get all the guys back out there together and get competing.
Are you embracing your role as being a leader?
Yeah, I think last year was a good year for me as a leader, and just another easy step with, being an older guy and being a guy who's done this for, 5 years at this point. Like, for me, it's natural now. It's not really, I come to the rink and it feels like home, and there's a lot of, experiences and a lot of opportunities that I've had to get me to this point. And that's something that's, become natural at this point, just kind of being friendly with a lot of the guys, and meeting a lot of new faces, and just kind of being a guy who people can look up to and ask for questions and just stuff around the rink. So I think that's something that's just been a bit easier, kind of being here for a fifth year and just knowing this place kind of like the back of my hand.
Well, we're glad to have you back. We look forward to watching you for year number 5.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Guillaume, how about you? What excites you about the year, a couple of weeks out from starting, really getting going?
I mean, I'm excited to play a game finally. It's been forever since we've played that last game of the year last year. So excited for that, but excited to see our lineup and how we compete every day. Uh, like we said throughout this call, there's going to be a lot of competition um, within the guys within this group this year, and it's going to be exciting to see um, who wants it bad enough to fill those spots that we need. And so I think it's going to be good. And then, yeah, just like Nate said, we want to be number one Hockey East and make the tournament after 3 years of losing. That's enough, and it's time for winning.
So can you point to one or two things that you guys are going to need to do as a group to make those two things happen?
Well, we can't take nights off. We're gonna have to have a good effort at every game. Every game matters, especially in Hockey East and the NCAA. You lose one, and it's tough. It's tough to come back from a bad loss. So every game matters, and we just need to have that mindset.
Well, it is great to have you returning for your senior year, and we look forward to watching you play here in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, Hudson Malinoski, what excites you as you head into year two as a Friar?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for this season. Obviously, the body feels great right now, and I just want to play a game. But for our team, like Coach said, we're not looking for top four in Hockey East or just get into the tournament. We want to be the best team in the country this year, and I think we got the roster to do it. We just got to put the pieces together, and I think we got a good shot at it.
How much did it help, Hudson, to go through Hockey East, to have a year under your belt, playing the league and going back to back most weekends and just having a feel for the different buildings?
Yeah, I think you look at the league, and every league within college hockey is good, but you look at Hockey East, and every team in our division is a really good team, and you can't take a night off any night. So it kind of, yeah, every night is a really tough game, and you got to be at your best performance every day.
Well, we look forward to seeing you back for year two.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Logan Sawyer, it's all brand new and shiny for you coming in here. What excites you to be a freshman and get going here at Providence College?
Yeah, I'm just excited to get in my first year, take it all in, just try to learn. And then, yeah, playing in such a good league is going to help me develop, help everyone develop. So I'm just excited to get into it.
Are you familiar with many of the, your other freshman teammates coming in? Have you, played against them or with them at any point in your career?
Yeah, I played against a couple of them, and being down there for a little bit in the summer, got to know all of them. We got pretty close just from the couple weeks that I was there. So I'm excited to move on with them, and obviously with everyone else on the team. And I'm just, yeah, super excited to get started.
All right. Well, we look forward to watching you play, this year. And thanks for joining us. Nate, we'll finish up with you. I guess, final thoughts as you're on the brink of really getting underway here.
I mean, the final thoughts to the fans and the season ticket holders would be like, just get to the games, because they're going to be fun this year, and they're going to be exciting, and this is going to be a very good team. So, we hope to see them all at Schneider Arena. When our building's packed, it's the best place to play in college hockey, and very few teams make it out of there alive when it's a packed building. So, we're just can't wait to see our fans, and for them, it's get out and watch this group, because it's good. I mean, it's just hearing how Nick and Guillaume and Huddy answered some of these questions tonight. Like you look at it as a coach, like this is going to be a team that honestly, I feel like you can turn a lot of it over to the guys. When Nick and Guy are talking about, and Huddy, they're all talking about you can't take a night off, and that's the lesson that they learned last year. Is that it wasn't our top end wins. We beat Michigan, we beat BU, we beat BC, we beat Denver. You know what I mean? We beat all Frozen Four teams, all four Frozen Four teams. It's about the lessons that we learned is just we have to make sure that we're getting to our identity, we're getting to our best game every night. And that's you hear Nick and you hear Guy, and they're saying the right things, they're talking about the right things, they've lived through the lessons. but they have, it's what I talked about earlier. They got more of a purpose. They know that now. Like they know that, after you beat Denver, you can't get too high. Like you can't get too high. You can't, and when you have players that have learned those lessons, or players that are going to drive your culture away from the coaching staff, you got a real chance to be special. And we have that, we have that right now. So, I'm going to lean on them to drive our culture this year, but I think we have the right group, of returning players to do it.
Well, thank you. This was a fun thing to do. It's always great to talk hockey in August. Nick and Guillaume and Hudson and Logan, thank you. Nate as well. Friars will open up the year on the 5th of October with an exhibition out at Union. The following week, they get going for good against North Dakota. The home opener will be the 18th and 19th, Arizona State. I believe that is homecoming weekend, so that'll be a busy weekend on campus.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much to all the season ticket holders joining us, and to all 5 of you. And we will talk to you soon. This is Mike Logan. Have yourself a good night.